The Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Shady Rays. Shady Rays is having their best deal of the year. Go to shadyrays.com, use the code SGPN for 50% off two or more pairs of polarised sunglasses. We're also brought to you by SGPN's Draft Week. All week long, SGPN has you covered with draft props, mock drafts, and all of our live NFL Draft Watch party. Make sure to smash that subscribe button at youtube.com/sports gambling podcast. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Monday, April the 24th. And we are here to have a little look back at another bonkers weekend in the Premier League that just finished. And then we've got a full slate, 10 matches of Premier League games, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. So busy. No time to stop and lick your wounds after the weekend. Straight back into it. Joining me from Binghamton is Bazza. How you doing?
Evening, Malcolm. We've got no wounds to lick this weekend, have we?
No, we haven't. No, absolutely not. We could be licking other parts of ourselves, no problem, but not wounds.
Yeah, all good. How are we doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. Thank you. I'm sure we'll try not to talk about Newcastle too much, Baz. If we'll see what happens. Serial, first in the chat tonight. Serial, good evening. How you doing? The fine for being... Serial, there was no fine for anyone being late tonight. Me and Baz were just having small talk is what was going on. Often, this first 3 minutes of the show is me and Baz having what people might call a production meeting, which you should probably do off air. We just start and then do it. And actually, we did it before we started tonight because we're very, very professional young men. But no, it was a really exciting weekend, which started on Friday night with a bonkers game. We had big results at the top, big results at the bottom. We had the FA Cup games, one of which went to a penalty shootout. There was some big old comebacks. There was a thrashing or two we need to mention, and loads and loads of goals as well. Picks wise, I didn't really cover myself in glory. First losing week, I think, for probably 4 or 5 weeks for me. I went 4 and 6. So yeah, it didn't do me conkers completely. But nothing really fancy either. No big dogs. Baz, how did you feel your punts went at the weekend?
Premier League was good. I got 5 from 8 in the Premier League. We both hit our lock again, which is good.
Oh yeah,
our locks are still at 100%, Malcolm. So yeah, 5 from 8 in the Premier League, and really only a goal away from it being a really good weekend. Because if Aston Villa had nicked a winner, we'd have hit the treble, would have hit the underdog, and I'd have been looking at 6 from 8. FA Cup, I dodged one, so that was a victory because I reckon I would have picked the loser in that Man City game.
Wasn't a victory. No one wins in that situation, but.
And Man United game was garbage. So yeah, FA Cup was no good. I did put out a good one in the Discord though, so I might not have picked that Man City game, but I put out one of my best bets of the weekend was the Barnsley goals again. And Barnsley on the money line at even money. That went in the Discord, and quite a lot of people got involved in that. We took Barnsley to win, and we took Barnsley over 1.5 team goals at around evens, beat each of them. They won that one 2-0, I think, in the end. So yeah, a couple of good stuff in there. So yeah, I think I've done okay, really. Not bad at all.
Yeah, Barnsley's been a bit of a cash cow really for us lately. Yeah, the Discord channel was on fire again tonight. Middlesbrough playing Luton. I know Lenny was in there earlier on tonight throwing out some bets on that one. That was about 0-0 10 minutes ago when I got out the van from taking Bob to football.
I know you see that. Middlesbrough have just scored in that one.
Oh, have they?
Because I took the goals, which I was having instant regret half an hour in because I hadn't had a shot on goal, Middlesbrough, but I think they've just gone 1-0 up. But yeah, there was loads of chat. I went on just to give my thoughts on that game tonight, thinking, someone might fancy something in it. And I went in and there was 25 posts all talking about Liverpool v Luton,
yeah,
which is great to see. Everyone was getting involved. Nothing else on a Monday night, so there was plenty of chat in there. So yeah, we'll see how that one goes.
Yeah, Slick Rick's joined us. Slick Rick's he's licking his wounds. Apparently, didn't have a great Saturday. That's the best thing about a full midweek card is you don't have time to sulk. Put it behind you, Rick. And we'll less than 24 hours, we'll be firing in again to these.
I did have a little laugh to myself about Slick Rick's strategy for Spurs.
What was
when
that?
I was watching the game yesterday, can you remember? He said, "Wait till Spurs go a goal up."
Oh,
And then you're back against Spurs. Well, that opportunity didn't arrive.
That didn't last very long, did it? At least he knew early that wasn't going to happen. That was you can put that one to get to bed. But this all the shenanigans started on Friday night with Arsenal 3, Southampton 3, which was a great game. I was waiting to record the MLB show with Moonaf, and I just said to Moonaf, "Listen, you're gonna have to wait. I'm watching the end of this. I'll have to pay the $1 per minute fine, whatever it is." Because me and Bob were literally jumping around the front room. I don't even know why I don't think we did want Arsenal to win, and that the last couple of minutes was proper pinball. I mean, my bet lost after 28 seconds, which might be a show record. I think you had a worse bet than me on this week's episode, though, Baz. So I'm going to come. I'll cross that bridge when you come to it. So yeah, my bet went down after 28 seconds, which, you know, it happens. And then it was just bonkers. Southampton with 3-1 up. The funniest thing about this was it didn't do anyone any good in the end. Everyone ended up pissed off because Southampton, the point was no good, and they'd blown a 2-goal lead in the last 3 minutes. The point was no good to Arsenal. So after all that, it was really good for no one.
Yeah, really entertaining game though, and for me, a really, really easy start to things because I took the first half goals, which has had a really good record in Arsenal games lately. With Arsenal usually going 2-0 up early on in games, I didn't expect it to be the other way around, and Southampton getting those early goals. But yeah, what were we? 10 minutes it took to cash the first half over 1.5 goals. So, nice and easy.
Yeah, that was a nice bet. The Saturday lunchtime game, Fulham 2, Leeds 1, over 2.5. We had 4 or 5 team rides here, Baz. That was one of them. Didn't look great after an hour, and eventually Fulham got it done. 2 poor mistakes, I thought, from Meslier. I used to quite like Meslier. Meslier was one of the first names on my used to be on my DFS card. I would always look for him. He was always relatively good value. And then the last 2 or 3 months, I've seen him got quite a lot of stick on Twitter in the last couple of weeks. So I kind of paid special attention to him on Saturday. And actually, he brought the attention on himself. You didn't need to pay special attention to him because he was just poor. And that was a really bad result for Leeds, Baz.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if they're going to get themselves away from things, they needed a result in a game like that against Fulham, who were in not great form. Although I think they've won 2 on the bounce now, Fulham, but yeah, really bad for our Leeds. Coming off a horrible run at the moment, and I don't think it's going to get much better for them this week either. Serial's just pointed out, yeah, that
this is an excellent point he's made.
I think I mentioned this either in the Discord, or I might have messaged you on Friday. I can't remember. But yeah, you lost that Arsenal bet the other day in 28 seconds, and I had exactly the same bet: Arsenal to win to 0.
Yeah,
Bournemouth. Probably about a month ago, and that was the game Arsenal won later on 3-2. But Bournemouth scored then. It might have been even quicker than the Friday
How
night.
quicker? Yeah, we need to find out who lost that sooner.
I think it was about 20 seconds. So twice Arsenal have done us with that win to 0 in less than a minute. So that's pretty impressive.
Brentford won, Aston Villa 1. We both took Villa as dogs. Villa couldn't get it done. Actually, we're probably looking to have to get a point in the end. Brentford with a better team by all accounts. So yeah, I mean, Villa had won 5 in a row and 7 out of 8. And it just goes to show, if you're not Manchester City, then it is hard to put that long a run together. Newcastle got caught out last week and Villa got caught out again. So I think it was probably the right pick, but maybe just ran out of steam and it finished 1-1, Bass.
Yes, I think you're right. There was no sort of regrets with the pick, but also you could have no complaints with the result. I don't think they deserved anything more. It wasn't like they were unlucky, and as you say, one of those things where eventually runs like that are going to come to an end, aren't they? So yeah, as I say, it was disappointing for me because not only did I have them down as my underdog, I had them in the treble to score 2 or more, and that was in with let me think, Liverpool to score 2 or more and Arsenal to score 3 or more. So the other 2 came in with that, so we were 1 goal away from hitting the treble again, but wasn't to be.
Palace 0-0. I took Palace. This was a terrible game. Absolutely nothing happened. Baz, you took both teams to score. I would argue that this bet is worse than my 28-second loser. Like, how you could think Everton were ever going to score. No, really.
I would say not
I don't. This bet at no time ever had a chance of winning from when it came out of your mouth on Thursday until the final whistle. It never could have won. So I would say that was a worse bet.
I'm not saying that's a worse bet because I would say it always had a chance for certainly longer than 30 seconds. But
it didn't have a chance because yours was finished 48 hours before kickoff.
I mean, the XG was a combined 1.0, so there was some chances. They had 7 shots on goal.
Combined?
Yeah.
Right, and you're claiming that's good. Why?
I knew about 20 minutes in it was doomed. Like, you could just tell it was going to be one of those games as soon as it started. So I knew it wasn't. I admit it wasn't my best pick, but it's not as bad as losing a pick in 25 seconds.
It's worse. Minus 48 hours is what's happened there. Leicester 2, Wolves 1. I took the draw. This is the one that I messed up on. This was the one that would have put me in profit because I've got my notes in front of me and my pick is Leicester to win. And then for some reason I called an audible on the news that Harvey Barnes was injured. Like, I don't know why that got into my head so much. As it happens, Wolves nearly nicked a point at the end. So it was just one of those. It was a really, really tight game. Leicester did get the new manager bounce, and it was a big win. Did you take Leicester, Baz? I didn't have. Yeah, you did. Yeah,
that's what pushed me into a profit for the Premier League games. 6-4 Leicester plus 150. So yeah, good result for me.
Liverpool 3, Forest 2. I took Liverpool team total. We both took Liverpool team total, actually, over 2.5. This was a silly game because neither team had any intention of defending. This could have gone on for hours on end and they would have just taken turns scoring. Just so happened they ran out of time, Forest, and they nearly did. They hit the bar near the end. It's another funny result for Liverpool because they've battered teams and really Forest were there for the taking. But yeah, Liverpool's defence is terrible. And then every time Forest equalised, they just completely utterly switched off. So there was a few signs of life from Forest, but this is a really hard game to analyse, Baz. I don't know what to take from this.
Yeah, I mean, we'll come to it a bit more when we review the next set of games because I've sort of factored it in a little bit in my picks for the next games for each of the team. But I thought Forest gave a good account of themselves, really. Yeah. Probably the best we've seen them for a while. Given their poor form, because I mean, they've hit the bar, they've had a few good efforts. Could easily have come away with a draw. I mean, Liverpool probably deserved the win on the balance of play. But yeah, I thought it was the best we've seen from Forest in a while. And Liverpool still don't convince me hugely. And as I say, we'll come to it a bit more when we look at those games later on as well. But yeah, I mean, just to say as well, I think we both put the Liverpool team total out as our lock for this one as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
So yeah, good win for us. That was a winner. Which was the most important thing.
Bournemouth 0, West Ham 4. Took both teams to score. Did not see this coming at all. You could see West Ham nicking it. Maybe you could make a case. They've been doing all right. You can make a case for them nicking it if Bournemouth had regressed a bit, but you didn't have them down as giving Bournemouth a shellacking, especially having played on Thursday night as well. So, bit out the blue this. Again, team right, Baz, both teams to score, no good. But yeah, weird one.
Yeah, I never caught any of it because it was on at the same time as our game. But as I say, I kept seeing the updates coming through, 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. Even popped up 5-0 at one point. I think they had one disallowed, didn't they, later on? So yeah, never saw that coming at all. But yeah, 2 games in a row, West Ham have scored 4 because they scored 4 in the Europa Conference League last week.
Yeah, they did. Newcastle 6, Tottenham 1. Nearly said it without laughing. I took Newcastle to win. Get in. You took the same. Another team, right? 5-6 minus 120. Vaguely ridiculous. I think anyone who picks Spurs in this spot shouldn't be allowed money, would be my take from this. The government should get a list of people off the bookies who put money on Tottenham and just go and get their money off. They shouldn't be allowed money. Some people shouldn't be allowed money, Baz, and any of those people shouldn't be allowed it. Fucking hell. What a shambles. Newcastle were absolutely outstanding. Tottenham weren't. It was a really weird day. I'll shout out Simmers here. His Simmers went up the ladder. Baz's ladders.
Did all the way, didn't he?
He went all the way to 5, yeah. Stuck it on Twitter later on after the game. He was in Iron Napa. He was furious about missing the match.
5, wasn't it? He took over 5, so he got the 6. He got the full 6.
Oh, did he really? Man, that's insane.
It was over 5 was the top of his ladder. He absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, he was mad about missing the match because they moved the kickoff time, and he was in holidays in Cyprus with his missus, so he missed the game. But I think watching it in the sun with a few beers, watching us score 5-0 up after 20 minutes, probably perked him up. And he went all the way up. He split his stakes, went incrementally, and got all the way up to 6 goals, which was ridiculous. So that was a nice win. We'll talk about Newcastle and Tottenham later. FA Cup games, Manchester City 3, Sheffield United 0. I made a good pick here. Shrewd, Baz, I'll use the word. Under 1.5 first half goals, which I thought worked out exactly the plan, was that Sheffield United ran around and tried hard. Manchester City was going to struggle to get up for it. There was no atmosphere. The place was half empty. It was quite an unedifying spectacle from that point of view. And then they ran away and won it in the second half 3-0 with a Mahrez hat-trick. It was very, very, very standard. And you didn't pick a bet in this, Baz?
No.
Pathetic. The second semi-final was... I thought this was a good game, Baz. You've just said it was rubbish. I was full of beer and...
I'd caveat that it was rubbish from a betting point of view. I took 2.5 goals, I think, didn't I? Or... I know I took Brighton, didn't I? I can't even...
Yeah, we both took Brighton, yeah.
Yeah, we took Brighton. Yeah, it was more from the goals point of view I was thinking. But no, you're right. It was a good game. I did enjoy it.
Well, I wasn't sure if the fact I was full of beer and rum and on cloud 9, having come out of the Newcastle match, it made me think that this was better than you thought it was. I think we probably made the right pick. Brighton with a better team. De Gea was man of the match for Man United, and then Brighton just couldn't finish it really. It was a good game, and then. Solly March missed a pen, and that was that. So Man United went through the final. So I was a bit annoyed about that. I suppose the only thing...
I think that... I mean, certainly an injury in extra time, Brighton had the chances, didn't they? Once or twice went through. That Undav was shite, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And if they had... Ferguson was missing, wasn't he? Which meant Undav came off the bench, and he missed a couple of good chances where you feel like if they'd had... Ferguson on there might have been a different story. Thought Mitoma was great again. Not unlucky not to get on the score sheet. But entertaining game. Enjoyed it. Up until the penalty shootout. Some good penalties, like. Yeah,
the only silver lining for me was that they'll get battered off Man City in the final. So we've got that to take from it. And that was it. That's the review of all the of the games, but we do have a full slate of action starting tomorrow night. I'll tell you first about Shady Rays, who have got you covered from the sun to the slopes with premium polarized shades, customizable snow goggles, and much more. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product, just as good as any expensive pair you might have worn, durable frames and extremely clear optics. But the protection you get is the best. They will replace any lost or broken pair, even on day one, no questions asked. So you can wear your Shady Rays with confidence. If you don't love them, you can exchange them for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays has given out their best deal of the year. Go to shadyrays.com. Use the code SGPN for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 200,000 people. So, 10 games split across 3 evenings, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. There are 3 games on Tuesday night, the first of which is a 7:30 kickoff, which is 2:30 Eastern time, between Wolverhampton Wanderers and Crystal Palace. Wolves are 5-4, plus 225. The draw is at 9-4. Wolves are plus 125. The draw is 9-4, plus 225. And Crystal Palace are 23-10. Plus 230. First word I've got written next to this is ugly. Ugly game to handicap between two of the probably least inspiring teams in the middle glob of this division. They both do look safe now after they've had some decent wins. Neither team played well at the weekend. Wolves beaten at Leicester, Palace at home 0-0 against Everton. At home, Wolves have had back-to-back wins. Away from home, Palace have had back-to-back wins. So it was really hard to try and establish who should be favourites here. I boiled it down to Wolves don't concede many goals. Their last two home wins, they kept clean sheets in both of them. I think Palace were slightly flattered by the results that they had, those 3 wins in a row, especially the Oppo they played at the time that they played them. So, really close, but I got Wolves' edge in this. I'm going to take Wolves at 5-4, plus 225. But.
Right, that's not a team ready to kick us off then. Give me one second. I'm just loading up my notes here. I'm kicking off really with a tricky one here, and it's a bit of a pattern throughout the whole of this slate of games. I think there's lots of evenly matched games, really, really tough ones to get stuck into. Wolves lost to Leicester at the weekend. Prior to that, they'd had back-to-back wins against Chelsea and Brentford. And I'd mentioned last week this thing with Wolves where they seem to pick up positive results when you least expect them to, and then they fail when they come up against some of the lesser teams. So recently they failed to beat Leicester, Forest and Leeds in recent games, whilst at the same time beating Spurs, Chelsea, Liverpool, Brentford. So they're just a really hard team to predict. So I seem to get Wolves wrong every week. So the fact I'm going opposing you doesn't really matter. I just can't seem to get them right at the moment.
These two teams, Baz, we've had like a Wolves and a Palace off for about 6 weeks. Every week I take Wolves, you fade them. You take Palace and I fade them. So this was only ever going to go 2 separate ways, I think.
That's a very valid point. So I was in 2 minds. The stats, to me, were pointing all towards a low scoring affair. And that was my initial plan until I looked at the price. It's 8-13 for under 2.5. So I've avoided that. But against all my better judgment, I'm going to fade Wolves again. Good results breeds positivity, and Palace mentally must be in a better place now than they were several weeks ago. They've now got belief going into games that they can win them, whereas several weeks ago they never looked like they could try. We said at the time they weren't trying to win games, but they are now, and I think it's a good enough price for me to go back in on Palace against a Wolves side whose form is pretty erratic. As I say, the home pattern has gone now. They've won 2 in a row at home, but before that, they do have lots of defeats at home as well. They win, they lose, they win, they lose. So yeah, I describe Wolves as erratic, and with that, I can take Palace. So I'm going to take Palace to beat Wolves at 23-10.
Okay, no help to anyone that then, Baz.
No, not at all.
7:45 kickoff. We've got 3 different kickoff times on Tuesday night, which is odd. 7:45, so 2:45 Eastern time. Aston Villa against Fulham. Aston Villa 3-4, -133. The draw is 14-5, plus 280. Fulham are 7-2, plus 350. Baz?
Yeah, so I mean, I think Villa probably feel a little bit disappointed with that result at the weekend. I reckon with the run they were on, they would have been getting their hopes up a little bit. Certainly Villa fans would have been getting their hopes up of a real run at the European places because they had the momentum at the time. And they're still in the hunt. They're still sitting in 6th place, but Liverpool and Brighton behind them have got quite a few games in hand, which might sort of mean Villa might just be coming to this a little bit late in terms of those European spots. But I think they'll see it as a bit of a missed opportunity because it just stops the momentum a little bit. But they are still 9 games unbeaten. And at home, they've won 4 in a row without conceding a goal. Fulham, on the other hand, they picked up the 2nd win in a row at the weekend. They beat Leeds, having just beat Everton before that. They were on a 5-game losing streak prior to that. And Fulham, another team who were in contention for European places not all that long ago, certainly dropped away from it now. But the team who will still be looking at this as a real sort of positive season for them. If they can hang on to a top half finish, is probably their goal now. So despite winning the last two, Fulham, they did concede in both games. And that's 7 games now without a clean sheet in the league. And Villa, on the other hand, I mentioned last week, haven't failed to score in 19 league games. And at home, in particular for Villa, they've scored 2 or more in 7 of the last 8. And that's the angle for me, with Fulham unable to keep clean sheets at the moment and Villa regularly scoring 2 or more at home. I'll take Villa to score 2 or more here at 4-5.
4-5. See, that's tempted me, Baz, because it's a little bit bigger than the bet I've taken. Slick Rick's feeling the Aston Villa bounce back. Ad or AD, should we go with Ad? Joined us in the chat. Ladrin, the corners. I don't know if he means on this game or Newcastle over the weekend.
Newcastle,
yeah, I think so.
At 5-0.
So good evening to you. This just looks like a good bounce back spot for Villa. I don't know why you just wouldn't take them at home, 3-4. Like I say, I quite actually, now you've put that out at 4-5, because I don't see them winning 1-0. That's one thing I don't see. So I'll stick with my original pick, but I could easily be persuaded to go for yours. Fulham are going for a club record 14th Premier League win. They've never won that many games before. And they seem to have got the mojo back after they had 4 defeats in a row, and then there was the FA Cup fiasco. But they seem to have kind of adapted to playing without Mitrovic. It took them a little while, but they found a new little way of playing without Mitro, which is a decent coaching from Marco Silva. Villa do win 1-0 at home, but I think you say the safest option for me was Aston Villa at 3-4, -133. Big old game.
I think Ad, I'm assuming, is Aaron from Twitter. He's a Newcastle fan who follows us. On our Twitter quite a while. So yeah, he said he had the Newcastle corners up to 9. And he's right. Like, once you go 5-0 up at half time, you think it's going to die off. I included the corners in a bet builder. I took Newcastle to score 2 or more and 6 or more corners for Newcastle, and that cashed by like 40 minutes. Obviously, the goals was in early. But yeah, I knew they got up to 6 in the first half because that cashed for me. I didn't see how high they got up, but apparently they hit 9 again. So a lot of our listeners and followers are always keeping an eye on those corners for Newcastle. It just keeps coming, doesn't it?
I love out like that, Baz. Love it. Big game, 8 o'clock kickoff, 3 o'clock Eastern time. Leeds United versus Leicester City. Leeds are 5-4. +125. The draw is 5-2, and Leicester are 21-10 +210. 16th versus 17th in the Premier League. Either team winning would be a huge boost to their chances of staying up. Leeds are way out of form. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Meslier gets dropped. He's just been costing them goals, and you can't give away 1 goal a week, and have to score 2 to win. They can't defend. They've conceded 22 goals in their last 7 matches. Leicester, we did see the new manager bounce. We talked about if you could have a delayed bounce, with the first game being away at Manchester City for Dean Smith. We did see it. And coming from 1-0 down was a positive sign as well. I think this is a great chance for Leicester to back that up, especially if you could choose a team to play. If you didn't want to, you probably wouldn't choose Tottenham now because they've sacked the manager tonight. You'd probably choose Leeds. So I think it's an excellent chance for Leicester to back it up. I'll take Leicester, Baz, at 21-10.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I went a different way. I mean, I just kept it really simple rather than trying to work out a winner from this one. I just thought I was looking at the form and looking at it from a goals point of view. And Leeds games have hit 7 in a row, both teams to score, and 7 in a row over 2.5 goals. And Leicester have hit the both teams to score 6 of the last 7. And the over 2.5 is hit in 5 of the last 7 for them. So we know Leeds can't defend. Conceded 62 goals in 32 games. They've got the worst defensive record in the league. So I'm looking at it purely from a goals point of view. Over 2.5 goals is 8-11. Both teams to score is 8-13. So my preference there would have been for the overs at 8-11. But then I'll just double them, put the 2 together, and get yourself around even money. So both teams to score and over 2.5 goals is around evens. So with the overs at 8 to 11, I don't think anybody's expecting a 3-0 or a 4-0 here. So just tag them together and take the even money. So yeah, that's the pick for me. Leeds Leicester, over 2.5 and both teams to score at evens.
Okay. Serial is throwing out double chance stuff. I'm not having it, Serial. I'm not buying it. Baz, I might have it, but I'm not having it. Make a pick, man. Yeah, big boy pants on. I was going to do Wednesday. I'll tell you what, I'll do this Andrews though, shall we? Pay the bills, Baz. These SGP hats don't buy themselves. Oh, just wait for my page to load up as well. Oh, come on. It's Underdog Fantasy, I know that. I'll tell you all about Underdog Fantasy. It's loaded up now. It's dead exciting. The NBA and NHL playoffs are here. What better way to get down on some player prop parlays than over at Underdog Fantasy? Besides daily NHL, NBA, and MLB games, they've also got NFL best ball drafts with a guaranteed $500,000 in prizes. Head over to underdogfantasy.com. Use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's underdogfantasy.com. Promo code SGPN. And as part of SGPN's draft week, SGPN is holding a free NFL draft props contest exclusively for members of our Discord. It's completely free to join. The winner gets $250 in cash and a $50 SGPN gift card. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Go to the NFL channel for the sign-up link. Hockey, Wednesday, 7:30. First game off is Nottingham Forest against Brighton. Nottingham Forest are 19-4 plus 475. The draw is 16-5 plus 320. And Brighton are 11-20 minus 180. Short price on Brighton. Baz, you feeling it?
No. Before I'd even looked at the prices on this game, it was one fixture that stood out to me as a potential upset. And a couple of the reasons. I mean, Forest, as I say, I thought acquitted themselves really well against Liverpool in that defeat. And Brighton are coming into it off the back of a physically and mentally grueling semi-final defeat, gone through 120 minutes and all the disappointment at the end of it, losing on penalties there. And it was for that reason, really, that I felt I'd struggle to know what to expect from Brighton in this one. And seeing them so short is I don't fancy it. I mean, that's not to say they won't win it. I just don't like them at the odds. I mean, Forest at home, 11-2, just looks bigger than I was expecting to see for this game. I mean, maybe I need my head checked. Forest are 11 games without a win and 4 defeats in a row at the moment. And yet I found myself considering them as an option. So I've taught myself out. I'm not brave enough or stupid enough to back Forest to win here, but there are ways to play it. Since the last win at home, Forest, they beat Leeds quite a while ago. They've drawn 3 and lost 2. So the 2 defeats was a 2-1 defeat to Newcastle and a 2-0 against Man United. That 2-0 versus Man United was the first time since August that Forest had lost by a margin of 2 or more at home. And whilst Brighton have only lost one of the last 6 away games, only one of them have won by 2 or more. So for me, I'm taking Forest to keep it tight. I think they can get something from the game, but I'm keeping a few options on my side here. So it's very much one from the ladies' menu. I'm heading to the Asian handicap market. Forest +1 on the Asian handicap at close to evens is going to be my pick. So that gives us a winner if Forest can win or draw. It gives us a push if Brighton win by 1 goal. And as I say, Forest, they've sort of lost their way at home lately, where they did have decent form at home for a while, but they're not getting battered. 2-0 is the worst result they've had this season, I think, at home. And only a couple of times that's happened. So, I'll take the bet for me. Forest +1 on the Asian handicap at just short of evens. I think it's 19-20.
The reason I'm laughing in the middle of that, Baz, was you say you're not brave enough or stupid enough to take Forest outright. Are you looking for a person who's both brave enough and stupid enough to take Forest outright, Baz?
I hope you do, Malcolm, because I don't mind it. I really don't.
This guy. Yeah, well, Yeah, I am. For all the reasons you said. I actually thought, Slick saying that Liverpool's terrible defence is giving you kind of false hope. But there was a little bit in A for how they played attitude-wise, but also Cooper made some brave decisions. Like he left Brennan Johnson out. He's not just doing the same thing. He looked like this. They're still trying, and the players are still playing for him. So I thought there was a little bit of hope in this. That, coupled with what you said about Brighton, they're far too short. You can't back them out right at that price. But how are they going to come out of that? It was they played on Sunday. This is Wednesday. It was late on Sunday. It was extra time. It was penalties. It was physically draining. It was emotionally draining. They don't have a huge squad. You've seen Brighton play games where they have a lot of possession and stuff and can't put the ball in the net. You already mentioned when we did the review that Evan Ferguson would have made a difference. They've just gone through 120 minutes and not scored against Manchester United. Now, everybody scores against Man United. Their defence is terrible as well. So just Forest were incredibly live. I had them down at plus 475, but if you're telling me I can get a 9-2, Baz, 11-2, sorry, plus 550, then I'll happily steal those extra 75 points. So yeah, give me Nottingham Forest. Let's go berserk. Next up is on Wednesday still 19:45 kickoff. 2:45 even Eastern time. Chelsea against Brentford. Chelsea are 7-10 minus 142. The draw is 3-1. Brentford are 15-4 plus 375. Man, this was tricky. Obviously, Chelsea have got no win in 5. Brentford have got no win in 6. Chelsea don't have a striker. They're way out of form. I don't know if they're playing for Lampard. I don't know if Lampard has got the first clue what he's attempting to achieve there. They're just more questions than answers. In fact, I've got no answers on Chelsea. All I've got is questions. But Brentford are just struggling a little bit. They did play well at the weekend, but then again, they played well in the first half against Newcastle, couldn't hold on. So they're just struggling to get over the line. I boiled this down to only one of the last 4 Chelsea games has gone over 2.5. And like we said, they don't have a striker. Only one of the last 4 Brentford games has gone over 2.5. I think this could be a little bit of a dog with fleas, this one. A very, very, very slow burner of a game. Under 2.5 goals, Baz. 9-10, minus 111.
Yeah, again, I found it a very difficult one. I mean, we've got Chelsea here, no win in 7 games. Brentford with no win in 6 games. Chelsea have scored just 1 goal in 6 games in all competitions.
Wow.
But then Brentford can't keep clean sheets. They've had just 1 in the last 10. So I didn't like this game at all from a betting point of view. But once again, I just think Chelsea are too short at the odds here. And Chelsea will win a game eventually. They may do it here, but anyone back in this Chelsea team in their current form at 7-10 needs their head checked. You can't back them at that price. It's ridiculous.
Do we need to put them on that list, Baz, with the government collecting?
Yeah, money? We'll wait until the outcome first before we go on the list. So yeah, I've got to pick this one. It's not with a huge amount of confidence, to be honest, but I took Brentford on the double chance market. So Brentford or the draw. It's at plus money, 11-10. So you can call it off the ladies' market, but it's a bigger price than yours, Malcolm. So Brentford or the draw at 11-10.
So you made 2 picks on that game, yeah?
Just the one.
No, you made 2. So you Brentford to draw, Brentford to win, yeah?
You can spin it how you want.
I'm just writing it down. I like it to be accurate when I write it down. Right, okay. So I wrote both your picks down there, Baz. Next is 7:45 again, 2:45 Eastern. West Ham against Liverpool. West Ham are 26-9. What's all that about? Plus 290. The draw is 26-9. What's all that about? Plus 290. Liverpool are 11-13, minus 117. I mean, it's not meant to be easy, Baz, but this was another tricky one.
Yeah, I mean, given how poor in my head West Ham have been, and the fact that David Moyes seems to have been clinging on to his job for months now, I was absolutely astonished when I looked at the form and realised they've only lost 1 in the last 10 in all competitions. I mean, it does include 4 Europa Conference League games, admittedly. But they suddenly do seem to be in slightly better fettle since the 5-1 thrashing against Newcastle. And let's be honest, there's no shame in taking a 5-1 defeat against Newcastle because some teams have to settle for a 6-1. So West Ham they've had their struggles in front of goal this season. We've talked about it quite a bit. But they've hit 4 in each of the last 2 games now. Before that, they put 2 past Arsenal. And whilst Liverpool are unbeaten in 4, they've had 2 wins, 2 draws, and scored 11 in the last 3 games. I still can't get away from the away form for Liverpool. The 6-1 against Leeds was their first away win in 6 games, I think. I think they'd gone 5 unbeaten on the road before that. They've won just 4 of the last 15 away games on the road this season. The last 15 games, they've won 4 away from home. I just don't think Liverpool will win here. I wanted to see West Ham at a slightly bigger price for me. And if they were slightly bigger, I'd back them outright. But again, Malcolm, 2 bets for me. West Ham on the double chance market, 10-11. West Ham on the draw. That's the pick for me in this one.
West Ham. It takes me longer to write it down when there's 2. What price?
10-11 for the double chance.
11. Okay. Rick is feeling West Ham here, and I'm handicapped this kind of really wanting to take West Ham. That's like my instinct. You have a starting point, and that was mine. They're both really inconsistent. They've both picked up points in unusual spots. They've both thrown in some absolute shockers. There was no patterns or trends that would fetch out, really. West Ham have kept 2 clean sheets in the last 3, but then Liverpool are scoring loads, so you wouldn't trust that. Both teams to score over 2.5. Again, instinctively what you looked at. Way too short, those 2. West Ham should be full of confidence after the weekend, and like you say, scored 4 goals last Thursday night as well. They got off to a flyer on Sunday. They got off to a shocker early against Newcastle. There were 2 goals down. Liverpool, I think you cashed over 1.5 first half goals, Baz, or was it both? Yeah, it was over 1.5 first half goals last week against Leeds United. And that's going to be my play here. I think both teams, Liverpool always just play with a handbrake off anyway. And West Ham are just going to be freewheeling a little bit. And this, I thought you had loads of different options here. You had West Ham to come flying out and be 2-0 up. Liverpool could come flying out and be 2-0. Or it could easily be 1-1 as well. So over 1.5 first half goals for me. That's a price at 6-4 plus 150. The big game then, game of the week, game of the season probably, in fact, is on Wednesday night. It is 8 p.m. It is Manchester City against Arsenal. Manchester City are 11-20 for the win, minus 181. The draw is 7-2 plus 350. Arsenal 17-4 plus 425. Manchester City 6 league wins on the spin. They won in the FA Cup at the weekend comfortably. They kind of breezed past Munich over 2 legs, battered them, and then held them at arm's length in the second leg. Arsenal, however, 3 consecutive draws, conceding 7 goals in the process, conceding a 2-goal lead twice, and then somehow ending up 2 goals down at home to Southampton twice on Friday night. City won 3-1 at Arsenal in February, that was kind of the point where everyone expected Arsenal to implode. And actually, Arsenal regathered themselves quite well and saved their implosion for the last 2 or 3 weeks here. They've really missed Saliba at the back, Arsenal. I mean, Rob Holding, question mark, or what my note says, he's all right, but that's it. He'll have a great career at West Brom or something. But, he just can't continually be centre-back in a Premier League title chase. I'm not sure on Aaron Ramsdale either. He's got that Jordan Pickford thing for me. Right? He just keeps going like he's 4. Sometimes he's flying around the place, belly up, tipping stuff over the bar. It looks tremendous. But sometimes you have to do things that a big grown-up goalkeeper would do, Get your fingers and hands in the right position and do stuff. And he just can't. He just keeps going like he's 4. Not convinced by him either. And they're going to be under a lot of pressure on Wednesday night. I think Manchester City are a class above Arsenal. And at the minute, Arsenal are wobbling. This couldn't have come at a bad time. I mean, we've just talked about teams playing Leeds at a good time, or like Newcastle played Tottenham at a great time. If that game had maybe come in the middle of October, it would be different. If City went to Arsenal and hammered them in February, this couldn't be a worse time, I think, for Arsenal. City at the very top of their game, and Arsenal are probably at the lowest ebb they've been so far this season. I think City are 2 goals better than them, Baz. -1.5 on the Asian handicap is 11-8 plus 138. That would be my pick.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all. I mean, you have to go back to the 5th of February now for Man City's last defeat. So they're now 16 games without defeat. And as you say in the league, 6 straight wins. At home, City have 10 straight wins, I think. And they've scored 3 or more in the last 6 also. So the last 6 games for City, they've scored 3, 3, 3, 4, 6, 7. That's all competition. So it includes Burnley and Leipzig in cup competitions and stuff like that. But in that 12-game stretch, they've hit 3 or more they've hit 4 or more in 9 of the 12, I think. 3 or more in 9 of the last 12. Arsenal have definitely had a slide. No two ways about it. I mean, there's lots of talk of them having bottled it. And I think I might be a little bit harsh at this point. Because at this point, if they win here, it is still in their hands. I mean, I don't see it happening. Talk of whether they bottled it, I think, probably comes in a few weeks down the line if it's completely out of their hands at that point. I think most concerning for them is the lack of clean sheet. And you've mentioned Saliba being out. They've had no clean sheet in 5 now and conceded 9 goals in those 5 games. And if you look at who's getting the goals, I mean, Southampton got 3 against them. West Ham scored 2. Leeds and Palace managed to get a goal against them. And that was before Palace had the new manager bounce. Palace weren't in good form at all at that point. And as you say, it's not long ago that they played each other. They played the 3-1 in February. They also lost to them 1-0 in January in the Cup. Over 2.5 is 4-2 short at 4-7. So it was down to 2 options for me. It was either the over 3.5 goals at 6-4 or City to score 3 or more at 13-8. And that's probably where I'm going to go. There's plenty of trends for the over 3.5. It's hit in the last 5 for Arsenal and in the last 3 City games. But I'm going to go for the City goals. Arsenal defensively have looked vulnerable lately. City are scoring 3 or more at home frequently, including against teams like Bayern, Liverpool, Spurs, Chelsea. They went and put 7 past Leipzig, who are a decent side. So that's my pick. City to score 3 or more at 13-8. I think it's a decent price. And I can say Slick Rick in the chat there likes the City goals as well. He thinks it could go high. He doesn't mind a ladder. So if you're going to ladder it up, you're starting at 3 goals, 13-8. You get some tidy prices if you think they might get 4 or 5. And they can do it. We know they can. The way they scored so freely against Bayern and, as I say, put 4 past Liverpool. That Liverpool game, City never even seemed to get out of first gear. They just cruised past them that game. Liverpool barely laid a glove on them, like. Don't mind the ladder on that at all. But yeah, pick for me is City to score 3 or more.
Move across to Thursday, 7:45 kickoff. Everton against Newcastle. Everton are 4-1. The draw is 13-5 plus 260, and Newcastle are 3-4 minus 133. Barry.
Newcastle are good, aren't they, Malcolm?
Yeah, they're brilliant, Baz.
Everton aren't very good, are they?
Everton, Baz, are shite.
They're shite, aye. But Newcastle are a bit short, I think, for an away game. I'm avoiding the money line. It's 8-11. I think it's a little bit short for us on the road. But I think Sunday showed the Villa game was a blip in the form line for Newcastle. And it was just the reaction we needed after that. I mean, it's disappointing. All the talk in the media since that game was how bad Spurs were. And what a mess Spurs are and all this. But Newcastle were absolutely phenomenal at times in that game. I mean, little single moments have been picked up, having the Willock pass for that goal. And then you'd highlight on Twitter that touch from Joe Linton to just bring that ball down out the air for his first goal was absolutely outstanding. But some of the football at times, we were absolutely unplayable. So it wasn't all down to Spurs being shit. Newcastle were absolutely superb. So we've got a sniff of the top 4 now. I mean, we've had a sniff for a while, but it just seems to get a little bit closer with results like that. And we want it wrapped up with games to spare, I think. And I think there's an opportunity, this game in particular, with Man United playing Spurs this week. So we know at least one of them is going to drop some points. I think Newcastle will be out for blood here. Just 1 win in 9 for Everton now. I said last week that I think they're destined to be locked in this relegation battle till the end because they just can't string any kind of run together. It's just not a team that strikes any fear into any opponents at the moment. I mean, there's nobody to fear amongst this lot, is there? Just look at their squad. It just looks crap. I know you like Calvert-Lewin. We've talked him up in the past. I think he was back at the weekend and managed to get a full game without getting injured, which is a bonus for them. So he should feature. But beyond that, they're just bang average. And Newcastle have shown a few times this season when everything clicks for Newcastle, because we play some lovely football and it doesn't always click. We had a little bit of a rough patch where we weren't scoring goals, but when it clicks, we can put up goals for fun. So it's been Spurs and West Ham lately where we scored 5s and 6s. But prior to the World Cup, there was plenty of those types of performance. Villa, Southampton, Fulham all conceded 4. We put 5 past Brentford. We put 3 past Man City, 3 past Leicester. So we've had loads of these games where we can put up goals. If it clicks, Newcastle score many goals against any team. So when we're playing with confidence, we can trouble anyone. And as I say, we did hit that little bit of a slump around the cup final. We lost our mojo a bit in front of goal. But it seems to be coming back now. The confidence is there, and it should be sky high after Sunday. So I'm going to take them to get back in amongst it again. 2 or more Newcastle goals at 5-6, and you can also get 3 or more at 3-1. So team goals, Newcastle 5-6 for them to score 2 or more, and 3-1 for them to score 3 or more.
Yeah, Everton are struggling. They had the initial win against Arsenal under Dyche, but after that, nothing at all. I mentioned Calvert-Lewin in my notes. I think you've done well to pick up on that, but I don't know how ready he is, frankly. Newcastle, again, was stunning yesterday. I think it's difficult to play to those levels again. I think the difference, we made changes at Villa last week. He played Gordon, was a bad spot for him to come in. He left Longstaff out. And I don't think we'll make those changes again, especially like you say, there's blood in the water now. Manchester United played Tottenham on the same night. So if we pick 3 points up, we know we're going to gain at least 2 or 3 points on one of those 2 teams. My only little thing, and this is more from a supporter's point of view than from a handicapper's point of view, is this has got echoes of last season about it, because we went to Everton in the very same time of year when they were shite and we were doing all right. That weird kid tied himself to the goalpost, just stop oil. And yeah, well, I was working, Baz, up in Sea Houses. I had no reception. I was struggling to get bars. I was on the blackjack table or whatever. And I thought it had finished 1-0. 0-0, because I didn't know any of that shit had happened. And then they scored at about 10:10 because there'd been this 15-minute delay or whatever. And I was furious about it. And Thursday night, I'm working again. I'm in London. I'm working, and it's just the same thing. So this is just me talking as a fan rather than a gambler. However, this is a different Newcastle now. I'm going to say Newcastle to win at 3-4, which is -133. I think it's pretty straightforward. I do like the under 2.5 goals. I know you've given out goals here, but I think we could just bully them and beat them 1 or 2-0. At a price of 4-5, -125.
Yeah, there's one other thing I wrote down here, which I forgot to mention there. Was a little double, which it paid off for me the other day. And I think it pays off quite frequently in Newcastle games. It's a little bet builder on Newcastle to score 2 or more, and Newcastle to get 6 or more corners. Nice. It's at 9-4 plus 225. And as I say, we talk about the corners often enough. And in our little run before the Villa game, we'd scored 2 or more in 5, all of those 5 games that we won. We've done it again at the weekend. And the 6 or more corners just seems an easy starting point for Newcastle regularly. So, yeah, 9-4 for Newcastle to score 2 or more and to take 6 or more corners in the game is another one I like.
The penultimate game on the card, 7:45 Thursday, is Southampton against Bournemouth. Southampton 5-4 plus 125. The draw is at 12-5 plus 240. Bournemouth 11-5 plus 220. Now, last week, this was a really easy game to handicap. However, Southampton went and played really well at Arsenal, and Bournemouth got battered at home to West Ham. Southampton are still minus 1,000, 1 to 10 to get relegated. So that point hasn't done them any good. They blew a lifeline on Friday night, being 2 goals ahead in the last 5 minutes of the game. Bournemouth threw in their shocker on Sunday as well. They're still in good shape to stay up. I'm happy to handicap this on the known form before this weekend, Baz. So I'm throwing out Southampton 3-3. Arsenal let them in that. They gave them a 1-goal lead. I think if Arsenal had not done that and got ahead after 15, 16 minutes, Arsenal could have won 5-0. Like, you've got to not give these teams a chance. Like we did to Tottenham yesterday. Don't give them a chance to think they're in the game. Like, Tottenham were fully prepared yesterday to get battered, unless we allowed them to think, oh, we might be in this, and we didn't. That's what Arsenal did to Southampton. They allowed them to think, oh, we're in this. So yeah, I think that's a bad example of what Southampton are capable of. So all the previous form, me drawing a line arbitrarily through last weekend, points to Bournemouth here at 11 to 5. So I'm going to take the underdogs. I think Southampton is still long gone. And we should see a reaction from Bournemouth. They've been a lot better recently. And the manager, the players won't be impressed with what happened at the weekend. So we'll see reaction. Bournemouth to win 11 to 5. But
right. Opposite ways around again here, Malcolm. But I just thought that the performance from Southampton was a positive, albeit a point isn't enough for them really to get them away. So if they're going to give them a chance, this is the sort of game they have to win. I think if they've got any hope of staying up at all, this is a must-win game. I'd put a fork in them. They're done if they don't win this. Particularly because they've got Newcastle at St James's Park next week. They've got no chance there. And whilst Bournemouth have got themselves away from the danger zone now, they're 5-point cushion. They are capable of throwing in the odd poor performance. They're not on any sort of great streaks. They've lost 3 of the last 6. So yeah, it's good form for Bournemouth, isn't it? Win 3, lose 3 from where they were, got themselves away from it. But they've conceded 12 goals in those games as well. I'll be honest. I said earlier on, this midweek slate of games is throwing up some really tricky matchups, and this is no different really for me. But I said last week, I've been quite good at hitting a team to come out of a winless streak. I did it with Palace recently. I've done it with Leicester last week. I've done it with Bournemouth earlier in the season, taking them to win despite them being on losing streaks, which are pretty long. And this is the spot for Southampton for me. I think this is where Southampton will pick up a result. Contrasting fortunes for the 2 at the weekend. I thought Southampton will there's disappointment in that, but at the same time, a draw away to Arsenal isn't a bad result, and then Bournemouth go and get hammered. So I'm taking Southampton to beat Bournemouth at 5-4.
The final game, talk about tricky games to handicap. Tottenham against Manchester United. Tottenham are 9 to 5 plus 180. The draw is 13 to 5 plus 260. Manchester United are 11 to 8 plus 137. Point of note here is that in the last couple of hours, manager have sacked their interim manager Scalini after yesterday's shenanigans at Newcastle. So Ryan Mason will take temporary charge, and he'll take them into this game against Manchester United on Thursday, Barry.
Yeah, so Ryan Mason was what everybody expected to happen when they got rid of Conte, wasn't he? They're holding on to Conte as right-hand man. It was a bit of a strange one at the time. This is another difficult one, and I've got a lot of notes here and then no conclusion at the end of it. So I've had to come up with something a little bit different. 2 teams who we don't really trust at the moment, although it's fair to say that the distrust is definitely greater in Spurs than it is Man United. So yeah, caretaker's gone, Stellini sacked, Ryan Mason will be in for now. Looks like Nagelsmann's the favourite for the Spurs job, with Pochettino looking likely to end up at Chelsea at the moment. So let's start with Spurs. What a mess. They were dead and buried quickly yesterday, 6-1. That came off the back of a bruising defeat, not a crushing defeat, but a bruising defeat against Bournemouth, where they thought they'd got themselves back into it, and Bournemouth went and nicked it in the 96th minute or something. But they also failed to beat Everton. They failed to beat Southampton. And those are 2 teams who don't get many points from anyone, but managed to pick up 1 from Spurs. They did get that fortuitous win against Brighton, but they've not had a clean sheet again in the last 6 games. And it seems, no matter what combination of players they go for, what formation they go for, they just look vulnerable at the back all the time. Whilst I don't trust Man United much these days either, they have won the last 3 in the league since we beat them. Everton, Brentford, Forest. So, reasonably favourable run of games. Obviously, away from that, they had the disappointment of failing to get past Sevilla in the Europa League, and then needed to go to penalties against Brighton. The positive from Man U is the clean sheet yesterday against a good attacking side in Brighton. We had concerns around the defensive injuries for Man United, and it was evident in the Sevilla game. But Shaw coming in at centre-back over Maguire is definitely an improvement. Maguire will be back from suspension for this one, I think. But surely he's going to be straight back on the bench anyway. I think it'd be mad to bring him back, keep Shaw there, play Malacia out at full-back, and they look a little bit stronger. Like they've actually had 3 clean sheets in a row in the league, and 4 in the last 5. But they have had a favourable run of games. I've wrote too many notes for where I'm going, so I'm going to skip off of them. I started by saying this is a tricky one, and I got to this point, and I wrote all my notes. I had no idea what I was going to pick, so I went to the odds to see if anything jumped off the page, and nothing jumped off the page either. So I've gone off script. I've got something a bit different, and I've gone for a bet builder. Ooh. So something where we can just watch the whole game and cheer on a bit of everything. So 3 or more cards in the game, 2 or more goals in the game, 8 or more corners in the game, and Kane and Rashford to have at least 1 shot on target each. It's at 12-5 plus 240. Little bit of fun, but I just couldn't decide where to go with it. So I thought let's just. Do
you not fancy a no bet again, bud?
No. This is a Premier League gambling podcast.
Oh, sorry. Premier League is that the difference? Is it?
That's the difference. Yeah.
All right, no bother. Well, I'm not writing all that bollocks down. So
I'll tell you when it's won, Malcolm. Don't worry.
Yeah, please. I've changed my tune here since I handicapped this, because I handicapped this and Scalini hadn't been sacked, and I've since gone out and come back, and he has been. So my initial thought was you can't take Spurs, which I stand by, and can you take Man United? ? Just about saw enough yesterday at full strength. They've got a few sort of players like Fernandes, the good players. I thought were enough to squeeze past Tottenham in this spot. But however, I think Tottenham might just show up a little bit more. There has to be some sort of reaction from what happened yesterday. The players have got to show a little bit of something, a little bit of personal pride, for their families, for God's sake. And say Ryan Mason is a club man, and I'm sitting on the fence, Baz. I'm taking the draw because I don't know what else to do. So I'm kind of in the same boat as you. You guessed it, something. I did have Man United written down, and I probably will regret changing it because I picked Leicester last week and changed my tune. I won't learn a lesson, but I'm going to take the draw here, Baz, at 13-5 plus 260. That, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is the 10 games handicapped. Baz, do you want to run us through your fancy stuff?
The fancy stuff for me kicks off with a lock of Leicester v Leeds over 2.5 goals at 8-11. My dog is Palace, and I can't remember the price on Palace. I think it's 23-10 plus 230. My anytime scorer is going to be Iheanacho at 5-2 plus 250. And you can get Iheanacho first scorer at 7-1 for Leicester. He's been a little bit out of favour lately, but they played him and Vardy last week and got the win. So I'd be surprised if he doesn't start with the 2 of them again. He took the penalty and scored, obviously, but would caveat that fact Vardy was off injured at the side of the pitch at the time. So Vardy is expected to be fit. But I still think Iheanacho will start. I fancy there to be goals in this game. So yeah, Iheanacho 5-2 anytime. And finish off with a treble. It's back to the goals because we've hit a few of them. And when we haven't hit, I've tended to be 1 out at the most. So Villa, Newcastle, and Leicester all to score 2 or more. It comes in at about 7-1. Decent price, that one. Villa, Newcastle, Leicester, over 1.5 team goals, 7-1.
Feeling the pressure on these locks then, Baz, on the grounds that we've gone 3 for 3. So I'm going to lock up Manchester City on the Asian handicap, -1.5 is 11-8. Dog will be Leicester at Leeds, 21-10. Goal scorer is Ollie Watkins, 11-8 plus 137. I feel like we picked him about 6 weeks in a row, but I can see them scoring 2 or 3 against Fulham in the week. And for my parlay, Man City on the money line, Aston Villa on the money line, and the third leg will be the Chelsea-Brentford under 2.5. That comes in at just over 4-1. So plus 417 for our American listeners. And that's it, Baz. Exciting week to come. What's going on with you?
A lot, really. I think I'll be out Wednesday night. I'll go and watch the Arsenal Man City game. Kieran, who you know, is a Man City fan. He wants to get out in the pub and watch that, so I'll go down local and watch that. And yeah, just a lot of football to watch. Good week with full midweek slate of Premier League. I mean, I just had one other thing that I was going to talk about. I know you've got to get away, so it'll only take 2 minutes. But after the Spurs defeat yesterday, did you see a lot of pundits and Spurs former players saying fans should be refunded for that? Fans who travel to Newcastle should get a refund. What do you think about that?
It's bollocks, isn't it?
It's absolute bollocks. You don't pay to go and win, do you? You pay to go.
Of course not, no. You know the risks when you set off.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't go to the cinema and ask for your money back because the film was shit.
Who's not a better person from having sat through your own team getting beat 6-0, 400 miles from home?
I mean,
it's the journey past the mouths of the dragons, Baz, that makes days like that yesterday. If that happened every week, we wouldn't love yesterday because it would be old hat. It's a load of shite.
Yeah, I mean, you know, arguably they had a better day than Palace or Everton fans who had to sit through that drab 0-0. At least they got to see 7 goals and some really, really nice football from Newcastle United. So yeah, refunds. It's an argument that comes out every time a team gets a 6-0 or a 7-0 or something like that. Someone mentions it, and I just think, piss off. I mean, are you really going to feel much better if you get 30 quid back in your pocket from the club? Yeah. What difference does it make? Just you pay your money, you take your chance. Stupid argument.
You get to have a day out on the greatest city on earth as well. There was a mouthy Tottenham fan who was trying to be a bit clever with me on the way out, on the way back down to town. His mate was all right, but he was so how'd you get on without those using League One then? And I was like, mate, we were never in League One. Like, I'll ignore that remark. Like, and his mate was just say, I'll just ignore him. He's being a tit. Like, apologise for the accent as well. He wasn't from Bangladesh. He was that was a Cockney accent I was doing there, but yes, I've got to go, man. I've got MLB to crack on with in 16 minutes. If you're interested in that, join on the YouTube. Yeah, I'm going to London this week. I've got a big casino somewhere in Camden Town on Thursday. So I'm going to be travelling and I'll be watching the game on Wednesday. I think we're in the hotel, but I'm going to be grafting on Thursday night. So I might need you to be my eyes and ears on the Newcastle match on Thursday night, but hopefully it's somewhere with some Wi-Fi. Like,
I've got a bit of work travel this week. Not quite as glamorous as London. I'm off to Bradford.
Oh, lovely. Bradford's nice. Get yourself to the Alhambra, Baz. The old theatre there. It's beautiful. Yeah, and there's a local, like a local citizens, one of the oldest ones in the country, the Cinema Club. They sort of recreate their own movies. Just all these mad bonkers old blokes like who like recreate Oklahoma, like down in someone's back garden and that. So yeah, that's another two travel tips there for you, Baz.
Good Bradford knowledge. Well done.
Thank you very much. Appreciate everyone listening. Slick Rick, Serial, AD was in there. Good luck with your bets. It's going to be a smashing week of football. Very, very exciting. Hopefully we've got some winners. We won't be back on Thursday, but we'll have this conversation off air, Baz. And until next time, we'll see you down the road. Cheers.